I just want to thank everybody for giving this opportunity for the students to, present all of this. And also it's going to definitely help them, so seeking your blessings for this presentation. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everybody. My name is Aditya, and today I will be talking about prescribed duty, which Krishna shares to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so the title of this is Never Forget Your Prescribed Duty by Aditya. So let's start off with chapter 1, verse 26. Patra pasyat sthitam patra pitram atapitamahan acharyan madulan bhatrin putran pautran sakim stata sabashuran sueta shaiva senyor ubayor api. Translation. There Arjuna could see within the mid the armies of both parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and father-in-laws and well-wishers. Explanation. On the battlefield, Arjuna could see all kinds of his relatives. He could see persons like Bodhisrava, who were his father's contemporaries, grandfathers like Bhishma and Somadatta, teachers like Dronacharya and Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Salya and Sakuni, brothers like Duryodhana, sons like Lakshmana, friends like Asavathama, well-wishers like Katarvama, etc. He could also see the armies which contained many of his friends. So what I actually think about this verse is, in this verse, Arjuna could see all of his relatives. In the next 4 verses, Arjuna can't accept the fact that all of his relatives are on the opposite side. In verses 28 to 30, Arjuna is explaining how he feels about this. In these verses, we could understand that Arjuna felt sad, and he explained to Krishna that he can't even stand there anymore and can't fight there anymore. And also he's talking about the future generation, like including children, and he's thinking that there's like no good coming out killing them. In verse 31, he said that he doesn't see any good from killing his own people in the battle, so he can't the battle. After that, Krishna suggests Arjuna to fight in the war. And the second verse is chapter 2, verse 27. Karmani evidikaras tema phaleshu kadanchana makarma phala hetubur nate sangos tvakarmani. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attaching to not doing your duty. So, when talking about these 2 verses, this reminded me of the 2 duties which we're also discussing about Gita. Well, the first duty is duty towards the body, which is taking care of family and job, which is called Swadharma, and also the duty towards the soul, which is chanting Krishna's name and reading Bhagavad Gita, which is called Santana Dharma. And that's it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Next, Nikhit.
Hare Krishna. My name is Nikit, and today I'll be discussing the spiritual master. And this is discussed in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 7. So first, this is the Sanskrit. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava prachami tvam dharma samudacheta yashreyasya nishchitam ruhitan me jisyaste hamsadi mam tvam prapannam. Translation. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So as the explanation follows, the steps in the spiritual path have many perplexities. Therefore, it's important to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession who can give proper guidance for executing the purpose of life, which is to serve Krishna. So a man in material perplexities does not understand the problems of life. This human form of life is the most valuable asset for the living entity. Therefore, one who doesn't utilize this opportunity properly is a miser. A Brahmana, or he who is intelligent, utilizes this body to solve all the problems of life, and these problems can be solved by serving Krishna. So here we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and many Brahmanas using their human bodies to clean a temple and serve the Lord. And Kripanas, or miserly persons, waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, countries, and other material things, and they'll be left in the material conception of life. So Arjuna could understand that his affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the causes of these perplexities, and he couldn't discharge his duties because of them. Therefore, he asked Lord Krishna, the Supreme Spiritual Master, to help him find a definite solution, and he offers himself to Krishna as a disciple. So Krishna therefore becomes the original spiritual master of the science of the Bhagavad Gita, and Arjuna is the first disciple who understands the Gita. We must also follow Arjuna and approach a bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession to go on the right spiritual path. So an example we can follow is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So a close friend of Srila Prabhupada, Narendranath Malik, insisted that he come and meet a sadhu from Mayapur. And when they got there, they entered the ashram, and sitting with his back very straight, they found Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada soon became a disciple under Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and followed his order to preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. So because of him, we're learning Krishna consciousness today and have ISKCON. So similarly, Arjuna approached Krishna and surrendered unto him, becoming a disciple. Arjuna and Srila Prabhupada give us an example of how to follow a bona fide spiritual master. And we should also learn from those in the disciplic succession and follow the footsteps of great acharyas. Without their example, such as Sanatana Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and many others, it's impossible for us to understand and properly advance in the spiritual path. With that, I'm done discussing the spiritual master, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Niket. Next, we have Ishan.
Hare Krishna, my name is Ishan, and I'll be presenting verse 2.14, which is about everlasting happiness versus temporary happiness. The verse is Matra Sparsha Tukanteya Shitoshna Sukadukada Agma Paino Nityastan Stitikshva Bharata. The verse translates to, O son of Kunti, the contact between the senses and the sense objects gives rise to fleeting perceptions of happiness and distress. These are non-permanent and come and go like the winter and summer seasons. O descendant of Bharata, one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So, Sukha in the verse represents happiness, and Dukkha means distress. So they're talking about Sukha and Dukkha as in like complete opposites. Like you have happiness, then you have distress. And that's how life goes. Like you just continue to have these periods of happiness, distress, and then you just have this repeating cycle. And another part, it talks about how it comes and goes like the winters and summer seasons. That talks about how these feelings of happiness and distress are very temporary, and they keep coming like in a cycle, like winter and summer seasons. And then how the verse is finished off is by telling us that we have to try and tolerate it. You know, we can't do anything else except change on how we view things and how we react to certain things. So the verse is ultimately telling us that we just have to tolerate it. And so like a story that could go along with this is like, imagine if you just got like a new MacBook that just came out, and everyone around you, all of your friends were getting it, and they're all talking about all these cool features like, oh, if you have the iPhone and the MacBook and AirPods, they all can connect to each other, and it has all these cool gimmicks and new features and all that. And then this like thought of getting this new MacBook just keeps eating away at you. And then you slowly start to give in. Maybe you're like, oh, I should buy this. So why not? And then you finally get it, and then you purchase it, and you get all that excitement from waiting for it to come, and it's shipping in the mail, and then you watch the delivery time go shorter and shorter until it gets there, and then you finally get it, and then you realize like, oh, I didn't like. You look at all the features, and then you realize this was not worth it, and then you go into that distress portion. The happiness portion lasted up until you got it, and then you finally got it, and then you realize that, oh, it was not as cool as I thought it was going to be. And so Krishna tells Arjun we should learn to control these desires, like how in the verse it was talking about controlling and tolerating. And it's just our senses coming into contact with the sense perceptions, right? So it's just them, these two, like senses and sense perception. So what we have to do is try and control that, control our senses, and control these desires, so we don't keep chasing after something. And so a major aspect that we can use is like try and be grateful or have a lot of gratitude, and like we can just try connecting it with Krishna and just be like, Krishna gave me so much that I have right now, and I should be grateful for everything that I have. Like, just the basic necessities Krishna has given us, and like even the knowledge of Krishna, so we should all try and be very grateful for that, and like, living in the moment too, instead of just looking at all these desires. Just look at what you have and take a moment to like try and meditate on it, and like just like think about, that ties in with the gratefulness and connecting with Krishna, just like staying there thinking about how much Krishna has given me and just living in the moment. And then Prabhupada actually said, this Krishna consciousness may not always be easy. He was sitting at his desk, and above him, some carpenters and brick masons were pounding on the concrete roof. The sound was ringing very loudly throughout the whole land, what to speak of directly above Srila Prabhupada's head. He said, this sound is pounding on my brain. And then he raised his right hand, and he was patting the side of his temple in a pounding action, pound, pound, pound. And he said, but I must tolerate it. And he was more or less saying that in Krishna consciousness, there may be so many pounding efforts in so many different ways, but in order to serve Lord Krishna, one must tolerate the onslaughts of whatever Krishna sends our way and continue to chant Hare Krishna. That's my presentation.
Thank you, Ishan. Next we have Arjun.
Hello, my name is Arjun. Hare Krishna. I'll be presenting Gita verse 3.22. So the translation for this verse is, there is no duty for me in all three worlds, O Parth, nor do I have anything to gain or attain. Yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. So the explanation for this verse is, if Krishna does work, there can only be one reason. It will be not for himself, rather for the welfare of others. Thus, Krishna tells Arjuna that although in his personal form as Krishna, he has no duty to perform in the universe, yet he works for the welfare of others. He next explains the welfare that is accomplished where he works. Right after this, in the next verse, Krishna gives the reason. For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, or Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. Thus, Krishna is also doing the prescribed duties to set an example for others. My thoughts were, this verse talks about how he works for the happiness of others, even though he doesn't need to, and it doesn't really benefit him, but he still does it. And to me, this verse shows that with hard work, you can do anything. And as a student, this verse is influential because it's a little bit tied to school. The more work you put in for school, the better your grades. Recently, I had midterms, and every other year, I almost failed my midterms because I never studied or I never put in work. This year, I actually tried. I put in work. I put in time to study, and I got much better scores than I did before. Hare Krishna, thank you for listening. That is my presentation.
Thank you, Arjun. And then next we have Mahati.
Hare Krishna, my name is Mahati. Today I will be talking about why Krishna appears on this earth from Bhagavad Gita verses 4.7 and 4.8. Chapter 4 verse 7. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Chapter 4 verse 8. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya ch dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In translation, whenever there is a decline in rightness and an increase in unrighteousness, O Arjuna, at that time I manifest myself on earth to protect the righteous and to annihilate the wicked and to re-establish the principles of dharma. I appear on this earth age after age. So there are three reasons why Krishna appears on the material world. Number 1, to protect the righteous. Number 2, to annihilate the wicked. And number 3, to establish dharma. Many people might think why the Lord has to come down on earth to do all of these things. The Lord has so many supreme powers. Can't he just do it in his abode itself? Well, there are reasons for that. The biggest dharma that we can do is to serve the Lord. When God comes down to earth, he shows his devotees his divine forms, abodes, and virtues. Some liberated souls got the opportunity to be part of these leelas and got the chance to see Lord Krishna and devote themselves to him. Many avatars of the Lord are there to set us an example in life to follow the principles of religion. Many people love to hear about the pastimes, stories, and leelas of the Lord, and hearing and listening about the Lord itself is the first step to devotional service. For example, when God came down as Lord Rama, he showed us how to follow dharma and do your duties the right way. This inspires many people, and people follow these rules and take Lord Rama as an example in their daily life. Krishna says when there is a problem in society, mankind should know how to solve their problems and should understand the concept of dharma. A person who is enlightened with this knowledge will spread the values and knowledge throughout the society. The Vedic principles push one towards completely surrender unto Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna took many avatars on earth to kill the wicked. For example, Lord Krishna killed many demons like Kamsa, Narakasura, Putana, and many more. When he incarnated as Rama, he killed Ravana, and as Lord Parashurama, he killed many evil kings. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mahati. Next we have Nidhi, and after that, Nia.
Hare Krishna, my name is Nidhi and I'm presenting chapter 5, verse 10. Verse 5.10 translate to, those who dedicate their actions to God by abandoning all attachment remain untouched by sin, just as a lotus leaf is untouched by water. The beauty of the lotus leaf is that although the lotus owes its birth, growth, and sustenance to the water, the lotus leaf does not permit itself to be wet. With the help of the beautiful analogy of the lotus leaf, Krishna explains that just as it floats atop the surface of the lake, but does not allow itself to be wet by the water, similarly, the Karma Yogis remain untouched by sin, although performing all kinds of works, because they perform their works in divine consciousness. An example of being like a lotus leaf can be used when you are faced with a sin such as lust. Lust is an enemy and is caused by wanting to satisfy your sense pleasures such as sight, taste, touch, or intelligence in mind. Say you really want to eat some candy, but you are on a long-term diet. You know you shouldn't, but you might think, what's the harm in just taking one? Or that it won't actually count because the candy is small and won't undo the effects of eating healthy. Lust is insatiable, so if you take that initial piece of candy, you'll be tempted to take more and not continue your diet. You would want to overcome that desire because it would only lead to momentary happiness. In the same way, sins could lead to more sins, and you will only be able to gain temporary happiness. You should be able to give up your mentality instead of the object by using renunciation and rejecting material desires. This helped me understand that a true devotee needs to be untouched by sin, needs to be unattached to actions. If you are attached to expectation, you'll be upset when it doesn't go as planned. You need to be able to do the duty, control the senses, and be detached from all results. And the key is to be able to give up the mentality instead of the object. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Nidhi. We can hear from Nia now. They are sisters.
Hare Krishna, my name is Nia and I will be presenting verse 5.29, the peace formula. Translation of verse 5.29 means a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pains of material miseries. 5.29, knowing me as the enjoyer of all sacrifices and austerities, as the supreme lord of all worlds, and as a friend of every being, he attains peace, wins happiness, even while performing karma yoga. Him who is the supreme lord of all worlds means him who is the lord of all lords of the worlds, him who is the supreme mighty lord of lords. The meaning is that knowing me as the supreme lord of all the worlds and the friend of all, considering karma yoga to be my worship, he becomes gladly engaged in it. All beings endeavor to please a friend. The purport of verse 5.29 explains how the Lord is greater than the greatest demigods and how one can obtain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness. It explains the peace formula by saying the greatest peace formula is simply this. Lord Krishna is the beneficiary of all human activities. It also says that the 5th chapter is a practical explanation of Krishna consciousness, generally known as Karma Yoga. My thoughts on verse 5.29 is that it is the peace formula of the Gita, and I learned that if you want peace, you can change to Krishna consciousness by thinking about Krishna all the time or by chanting his name. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Nia. And then we have Parth.
Hare Krishna, everyone. My name's Parth. AK. My name's Parth, and I'll be presenting my presentation. Gita Jayanti by Pushkal Borikar, aka Parth. Bhagavad Gita verse 9.22. Ananya Shintayanto Mam Yejana Paripasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakeshmam Vaham Yaham. Translation. But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Explanation. It means that if you worship Krishna in his transcendental form, Krishna will carry what you lack and preserve what you have. Life lesson. Yoga refers to devotees' approach towards Krishna. Kshama refers to Krishna's merciful protection. Krishna helps the devotees to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga, and when he becomes fully Krishna consciousness, he protects him from falling down to a miserable condition of life. One Krishna protected me. When I used to live in California, in our school we had a science camp for 6th graders. On the first day, we went around the forest, but I didn't feel that great. I was coughing a little bit and didn't think too much about it. But it started to get worse, and they had me go to the cabin where a doctor or someone comes and sees if I'm okay. At first, they thought that I was dehydrated, so they just gave me some water. And the rest of the day wasn't that great because I was still coughing. When it was dinner time, they didn't have any Krishna consciousness food, so I just decided to eat a salad and some spaghetti without sauce because the sauce had garlic. After dinner, I was getting ready for bed, but then I got really sick, so they sent me to the cabin, and I had a fever of 101 degrees, so I was quickly sent home. While I was away, it was good because Krishna made me sick, so I wouldn't have to eat the non-Christian consciousness food, and I had some amazing food during my time off science camp. And while I was writing this story of my experiences, I realized there's a moral to this. Like, you never really know what's good or bad luck. And yeah, that's what I think. And quiz time 1. What makes a devotee perfect in self-realization? One who thinks about Krishna 24/7, or one who engages in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendships, and surrendering fully towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or 3, all of the above.
3.
Yeah. Correct. Now quiz time 2. What is the Bhagavad Gita? The Bhagavad Gita is the eternal message of spiritual wisdom from ancient India. The word Gita means song, and the word Bhagavad means God. Often the Bhagavad Gita is called the Song of God. It was a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, or 3, all of the above.
All of the above.
Correct. Clear to end the quiz. And thank you.
Thank you, Parth. Next, we have Ananya.
Hare Krishna, my name is Ananya, and I'm going to be presenting verse 9.26. So the topic of my presentation is offerings to Krishna and why it's so important. So, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhakti Prayachati Taddaham Bhakti Upartam Asnami Prayatatmana. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So in this verse, Krishna is telling Arjuna how if his devotees offer anything with love and devotion, he will always accept it. He is also explaining how the only qualification to connect with the Lord is to be a pure devotee of the Lord. And he also accepts if one offers Krishna a fruit, a flower, water, or a leaf, he will always accept it because the devotee offered it to him with love and devotion. The one thing Krishna wants from his devotees is their loving service, and he doesn't accept anything from a non-devotee. And he also does not need anything from anyone because he's self-sufficient and can provide for himself. One who loves Krishna will offer what he wants, and if he desires something, he will say so. And a story to go along with this verse is Duryodhana's offerings rejected. In the Mahabharata, it describes Krishna's trip as a peace messenger for the Pandavas before the battle. And when Krishna arrived, Duryodhana invited him to a feast in an effort to bribe him. Duryodhana's feast had many delicious dishes, but Krishna refused to accept anything offered by self-interest rather than love and devotion. He stated 2 reasons to accept something: if one is in need or if it is offered with love and devotion. Because Duryodhana's offering was not offered with love, Krishna refused. He instead went to a devotee's house where he enjoyed a simple meal. This story is teaching us that we should give offerings to Krishna with love instead of for our own benefit, because Krishna will refuse to accept the offering. Krishna refused a big feast and went to a devotee's house to eat a simple meal because the devotees were doing it out of love and devotion to Krishna instead of self-interest like Duryodhana was doing. So from this verse, I learned that whatever devotees offer, Krishna will accept as long as they did it out of love and devotion instead of bribery and self-interest. I also realized that Krishna will accept anything, even a small flower, because he loves his devotees. In the picture, it shows a devotee playing a song for Krishna, and he's enjoying it. So the verse has been impactful useful and meaningful in my life because before I started learning about Bhagavad Gita and connecting with Krishna, I always thought that Krishna wouldn't appreciate if I gave him small offerings. But now I realize that even if my offering wasn't big, Krishna will accept it and appreciate it because we gave that one offering with love and devotion. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Ananya. Next we have Maya.
Hare Krishna, my name is Maya, and today I will be talking about love and devotion for Krishna's reciprocation. The verse I will be explaining today is, quote, 9.26. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. This quote is explaining that Lord Krishna all he wants is your love and devotion. Even a small offering he will accept. This shows that nobody can be barred from Lord Krishna consciousness because it is easy and universal. You do not have to be under a condition like become a Brahmana to learn about Lord Krishna. It is immoral to give meat, fish, and eggs as Lord Krishna will not accept it. Offering a simple vegetable dish, bowing down and praying to the Lord would make him happy. If a dish is being made, it should be with love for Krishna, not for your own benefit. If you think about philosophers, they are always trying to find the absolute truth in the material nature. In section 10.9, the sloka is, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. This is explaining that in return of worshipping Lord Krishna, he will give you pure happiness and satisfaction. Pure devotees whose characteristics are mentioned here engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna. Krishna is always looking over his devotees, making sure that they are always protected. The devotional service that devotees give sends happiness and love towards Lord Krishna. In return, Lord Krishna helps his devotees in many other ways. Hare Krishna, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Maya. Next we have Aditi.
Hare Krishna, my name is Aditi and I'm going to be presenting to you Bhagavad Gita verses 10.12 and 10.13. Arjuna Uvacha Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Majam Vibhum Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve Devarshir Naradastatha Asito Devalo Vyasaha Swayam Taiva Pravishime. Translation. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, and the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, and the greatest." All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa confirmed this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. In these verses, Arjuna accepts Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is free from all doubts. Arjuna declares that Lord Krishna's abode is the purest. Krishna is the original person, unborn, and the greatest of all. One may think that Arjuna is stating these because he is the dearmost friend of Lord Krishna, but actually, great personalities like Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa also confirm this too. All living beings are dependent on Lord Krishna, but most people think that they are independent of the Supreme because of ignorance. That ignorance can be removed through devotional service. Only those who take the path of devotional service of the Supreme Lord can understand him. The Mundaka Upanishad confirms that the Supreme Lord, in whom everything is resting, can be realized only by those who engage constantly in thinking of him. The remembrance of Krishna or Smaranam is one of the 9 forms of devotional service. In the Vedas, Lord Krishna is also accepted as the purest of the pure. One who understands this is free from all sinful activities. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Supreme Existence. He is free from the conditions of the material world. He has no cause and he is the cause of all causes. Everything emanates from him. Arjuna expresses himself through the grace of Krishna. If you want to understand Krishna, you should accept disciplic succession. An example that would be connected to this verse is Lord Krishna's pastimes. Lord Krishna appeared in Vrindavan and performed many pastimes 5,000 years ago. When he was in Vrindavan, he killed many asuras to prove that he is the Supreme. When Krishna was 7 years old, he lifted Govardhan hill with his left hand little finger for 7 days and 7 nights to protect the people of Vrindavan from the floods that Indra created. Indra then realized that Krishna was the Supreme Lord and not an ordinary child, and Indra begged for forgiveness. One day, Narada wanted to see how Krishna managed 16,108 queens in Dwarka. In every palace he went to, Krishna was present because Krishna expanded himself into 108 forms and engaged in different activities at the same time. In the Kurukshetra, the universal form to Arjuna. The universal form was as bright as 1,000 suns, had thousands of heads and arms carrying weapons. Arjuna had no doubt that Lord Krishna is the supreme. Okay, so I finished my presentation.
Thank you, Aditi. Next we have Divya.
Hare Krishna, my name is Divya and I'll be speaking on Krishna as the ultimate. Overall, I'll be discussing the topic of self-realization and the devotee's stance in the material world.
You are on mute, Divya.
Yeah. The first verse I'll be reviewing is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 8. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Translation. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So the meaning behind this verse is that through the development of knowledge along the spiritual path, the wise will realize that Krishna is the boss of all bosses, the supreme, and the controller of both the material and spiritual world. Additionally, it is known that when a devotee comes to know their position in the material world, which is run by Krishna, they will sincerely devote themselves to him and the remembrance of him. As you can see here, there are devotees, several devoted disciples having bhajan and singing the glories of the Lord, and this is to ultimately serve Krishna. Moving forward, Krishna also says that he is the source of all generations. He is called the most efficient cause of everything. He says that because everything is born of me, I am the original source of all. Everything is under me. No one is above me. There is no supreme controller other than Krishna, one who understands Krishna in such a way from a bona fide spiritual master and from Vedic literature, who engages all his energy in Krishna consciousness, becomes a truly learned man. He says here that a devotee of his will know that he is the correct path to take from his guru or a bona fide spiritual master. In comparison to him, all others who do not know Krishna properly are but fools. Only a fool would consider Krishna to be an ordinary man. A Krishna-conscious person should not be bewildered by fools. He should avoid all unauthorized commentaries and interpretations on Bhagavad Gita and proceed in Krishna consciousness with determination and firmness. It says here that a true Krishna-conscious devotee should not be deviated from his or her spiritual path. Nothing should cause a spark of disbelief in the Lord. Just as it is shown, they will continue their path with determination and firmness. An important example which conveys Krishna's message is the Govardhan Leela, one of Krishna's childhood pastimes. In this pastime, Krishna reveals himself as the savior while lifting the Govardhan hill at the age of 7. As you can probably tell, this is not an ordinary act for a 7-year-old boy, and it further proves Krishna's point in this verse, addressing him as the ultimate. He did this to protect the people and the animals of Vrindavan from relentless rains which Indra invoked to punish the people for not appeasing him. And the people of Vrindavan did not appease him because of Krishna's interaction with his father, telling him that they should worship the Govardhan hill instead of Indra, and this caused the fight between Indra and the people of Vrindavan. Today, from preachings all over the world, it is known that a devotee who is engaged in the service of Krishna is free from all sins. You can see here in this picture that all the people that love Krishna and care for him so much trust him to protect him, and he is doing so right now by lifting the Govardhan hill with his hands. This also shows that Krishna was correct by saying that the Govardhan hill is the one to worship instead of Indra. Another verse I'll be discussing is from chapter 5 verse 29. Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram sahridam sarva bhutanam natva mam santim rachati. Translation: the sages, knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. The meaning behind this verse is that the conditioned souls within the clutches of illusory energy. Illusory energy is the Maya, the illusion, and the conditioned souls are the devotees of Krishna living in the clutches of the material world. And it says here that they are all anxious to attain peace, finding their way out of the material world and closer to Krishna. But they do not know the peace formula, which is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. It says that he is the beneficiary in all human activities, and that he is Lord Krishna. He says himself that he is the greatest. He's greater than the greatest of the demigods. However, if you choose to not worship the demigods, Krishna will not interfere. So the devotees that live in the material world and anyone who's seeking for help, if they do not worship him, he will not harm them, and he will always make sure to support your decision and help you in whichever path you want to take. Krishna goes out of his way to explain to the struggling individuals suffering from materialistic problems that he is the right path for eternal happiness. So my realization after going over and understanding and analyzing Krishna's words is that there is no other path to follow than the devotional path, which directs towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. He also says that it is the self-realization which portrays your knowledge of Krishna. And this means that a devotee who is reading the Bhagavad Gita again and again will never know Krishna's true position unless he realizes that he is the Lord, he is the Supreme, and he is the ultimate. So by doing so and following the Krishna conscious rules and understanding and going through that self-realization, you will ultimately know that his true form and Krishna's position. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you, Divya. And then lastly, we have Prashta.
Hare Krishna, my name is Presta and I will be presenting chapter 12, verse 16. Chapter 12, verse 16. Nipeksha Shakir Daksha Udasena Gathavitha Sarvaramba Parityagi Yomat Bhakta Same Priya. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some results, is very dear to me. What Krishna is saying. Krishna explains that we should do our duties, but stay neutral to the outcome of it. Any true devotee should apply all results to Krishna, cutting out attachments. So what Krishna is trying to say is, whatever we are faced in life, whether it's a duty or any situation, we should offer all the results to Krishna and not be so focused on them ourselves. Krishna says, to a very poor person, the loss of gain of $100 would be an important matter, but a multi-billionaire would consider it insignificant and not give any further thought to it. Devotees are rich and divine for love of God, and they consider it to be the highest treasure worthy of possessing. They also give the highest priority to the loving service of the Lord, hence they become unconcerned about worldly gain. How to apply this to our life. Whether it's a test, performance, presentation, or etc., we shouldn't be so focused on the results. Let everything be under Krishna's control. Even if the results are good, we shouldn't feel extreme amounts of emotion. Whatever the outcome may be, we must keep our minds focused on the Lord and nothing more. The benefits. Living your life with this mindset has many spiritual and mental benefits. Benefits such as purifying your senses by focusing on Krishna, being neutral at all times keeps a calm and steady mind. A calm mind helps make chanting and meditating easier because when you have a calm mind, you don't really focus on any other things, so nothing is in your way to distract you, so it will make chanting and meditating very easier. You'll be better prepared for more situations in your life. If you take this verse and apply it to every situation, then you'll be better prepared for most all situations in your life. And your emotions will stay in balance because if you don't feel heavy amounts of happiness or sadness, then you won't really be affected by many things. So this photo says, the only way to control the mind is to neglect the dictation of the mind and always chant the holy names of the Lord. So as you can see on the red mind, which is the mind of a materialistic person, they're thinking of desire, fame, respect, and wealth. And the blue one is the mind of a devotee, which they're only thinking of chanting the holy name of the Lord. So this photo is an example of how we should keep our mind at all times because a steady mind equals a happy soul. We shouldn't think about materialistic things, and we should only think about chanting the holy name and applying our life to Krishna. How this verse has affected me. This verse has made me realize how important it is to do your duties, but our job as devotees is to give everything we have to the Lord. Knowing this verse, I won't strive for results. Instead, I'll work hard, then offer it to Krishna, no matter the outcome. So like I said, this verse is very important because what we can learn from it, we can apply to every situation in our life. And as we go, as applying this verse will make it very easier to live your life, and many situations won't impact you in a negative way or in a positive way, because even if a situation is positive, we shouldn't overwhelm ourselves and have extreme amounts of emotions. So whether it's happy or sad, we should just offer all our results to Krishna, not thinking of ourselves. And the photo here says that the easiest way to control the mind is by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prasta. So thank you, everybody. Thank you to all the students. You all did really nice, wonderful offerings to Krishna on the special event of Gita Jayanti. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Shamini Mataji.